This is the Fantasy Alarm NBA DFS show with Jon Impemba and James Grande.
What is going on, FA Nation? Here's another edition of your Fantasy Alarm Underdog Battle Royale NBA DFS draft board breakdown here. We're taking a look at Saturday's slate. If you haven't already signed up over at Underdog, go to fantasyalarm.com/underdog. Use promo code ALARM. New users get a 100% deposit match with their first deposit up to $100. You can scan that QR code here on the screen. Our draft is already underway. I drew the fifth pick here. If you're not familiar with the Battle Royale style drafts over on Underdog Fantasy, unlike your usual salary cap drafts like you see over at DraftKings and FanDuel, this is a 6-team, 6-round snake draft. 30 seconds a pick here. These drafts go pretty quick. You can usually get them done under 5 minutes here. And we've been talking a lot of Battle Royale drafts over in our Discord. So we figured, why not bring a video here each and every day, going through the draft process here, doing a draft for everybody can see our thoughts. This is coming from the fifth pick selection here. Luka Doncic, Scotty Barnes, Anthony Davis going 1, 2, 3. Obviously, the Toronto Raptors making big news today, trading OG Anunoby to the New York Knicks, along with Precious Achiuwa and Malachi Flynn for a package that includes RJ Barrett coming back from the Knicks. That's a monster trade here. Let's see. I am on the board. Let's go. You know what? This time around, I think we get a bounce back performance here out of Andre Drummond. Again, going to be back in the lineup. Look at Paul Reed, the Philadelphia 76ers center, more of a stay-at-home style center, not someone that's going to run the floor, stretch the floor like we saw from Miles Turner, where Drummond had his problems here. I think you're going to see Drummond find much more success in this particular matchup against Philadelphia here today. So we'll start off fifth pick overall here, Andre Drummond, see if we can get him back into those big rebounding numbers. Julius Randle's a great pick. I was hoping to maybe see if I could sneak him by on the turnaround here. But Randle and Maxey going. Let's go run out with Cade Cunningham. Back-to-back 60-plus fantasy point performances here. And now looking at that backcourt for Toronto, not going to have OG Anunoby. They could be forced to shift Dennis Schroeder back into the starting line to go along with Gary Trent, creating a great potential matchup here for Cade Cunningham, hopefully to continue the success that he's had over these last few games. Well, Detroit's had that 28-game losing streak, but they are home now. Toronto's on the second leg of a road back-to-back. Toronto just lost to Boston on Friday night. The Celtics were without Tatum, without Kristaps Porzingis, and without Al Horford, and were still able to come over the top there on Toronto. So got to think the Raptors are reeling a little bit, maybe even a little shell-shocked following the trade of OG Anunoby. We know there's been plenty of rumors surrounding the Raptors and what could be a teardown of that organization coming. Pascal Siakam has been rumored in some trades as well. Could see Toronto just do a full rebuild around Scotty Barnes here in the near future. So LeBron James, Anthony Edwards, Jalen Brunson going the next couple of picks here in round two. We're now on the swing. Again, as you guys can see, these are 30-second picks. So these drafts can usually be done in around 5 to 10 minutes, depending on how quickly these selections find themselves through here. So kind of looking through the board, some news for this slate. Jimmy Butler's going to play tonight for the Miami Heat after missing a handful of games here. Tyler Hero still has a pretty good fantasy point per minute output and usage rate with Jimmy Butler on the floor. So not too concerned with him. Same with Bam Adebayo. Those two really haven't been impacted all that much by Jimmy Butler when he's been on the floor. Sir, we know that Butler can always assert himself whenever he wants to, but at least for this part early on in the year, he's kind of taken a back seat to both of those players. So we'll see what happens when we come back around. I'm kind of looking at Pascal Siakam. I do still like the Toronto bigs here against Detroit, knowing that no OG and the shortened bench rotation. Again, they traded Precious Achiuwa and Malachi Flynn in that deal as well. So just depth is not going to be there for Toronto here today. So if we can get Pascal Siakam, I'd certainly like to get him here in round three. If not, I may go with Jalen Duran. I know doubling up on Detroit here seems a bit risky, but Duran's been pretty good these last couple of games. And going up against Jakob Poeltl is not a tough defensive matchup. Not a tough matchup on either side of the floor, really, for someone like Jalen Duran. So we'll see where this goes. Right now, Steph Curry is your top ADP play, followed by Lauri Markkanen, and then Pascal Siakam. So if ADP goes the way it's listed, Siakam should get to me. There he goes, right off the board. Probably looking for me, Lauri Markkanen, if he falls then on the next play here. We'll see exactly what ends up coming. If Steph is there in round 3, that might be a little bit of a tough pass up for me. I know Steph has not performed all that well recently, but eventually he's due to pop off. It is still Steph Curry here. So let's see where the round 3 pick goes at pick 16 overall here. Steph Curry went. All right, so I'll go Lauri Markkanen here. Again, playing some big minutes, coming off of a 24-10 game. I know Bam Adebayo is a pretty tough guy down low for Miami, but Markkanen's not going to really draw that matchup. Hero follows it up. Mako Miles Turner in this spot coming up next. Let's see. Going up against Isaiah Hartenstein feels pretty good for Turner. Obviously, he's a big boomer bust play, but Knicks have really struggled defensively of late here. So if Turner lasts on the board, that one certainly looks like it could be a spot for me. Karl-Anthony Towns struggling a bit lately, but isn't a terrible spot here either. There is some upside for him. He's missed the last 2 games here. Could take a shot on Towns in round 4. You know what? We'll play some upside here. Let's grab Towns. What I like about Underdog Fantasy Battle Royal drafts, if Karl-Anthony Towns is ruled out, you don't take a 0. They will automatically swap in the highest ranked player, or you can set your own replacement player lists. So if he was to be ruled out, you can get a guy that you choose to replace him as long as he hadn't been drafted in this draft. So no worries about eating a 0 in these Battle Royal drafts. So far through 4 rounds for me, Andre Drummond, Cade Cunningham, Lauri Markkanen, Karl-Anthony Towns, Jimmy Butler going at pick 21. There again, Butler, first time active in a little bit for the Miami Heat, getting him in round 4. Pretty decent upside if he decides to, show that he is healthy, a guy that can certainly go for 40 to 50 fantasy points. And that is usually what you're looking for when it comes to cashing these. Now, Friday slate was one of the higher scoring slates I've seen in a long time. But generally, if you can get guys to score an average of 40, 50 fantasy points for your top end guys, you're going to find the pay line when it comes to these Battle Royal drafts. And again, just the fact that these are 6 rounds, 6 players, and 30 seconds a pick. It's pretty nice. These go fast. You can get a lot of them done if you want. You can even draft multiple drafts at one time if you're on both the app and the web platform there. And again, if you haven't already signed up over at Underdog Fantasy, they have these for NFL, they have these for hockey, they have them for baseball, along with their season-long basketball contests. These daily Battle Royal contests have really been fun and something that we've really gotten into again over in our Discord. Our guy Sean Mitchell really championing a lot of the Battle Royal content that we've put into that Discord, a lot of the conversation surrounding the Battle Royal content over on Underdog Fantasy in our Discord with the success that he has had and that some of our subscribers have had as well. So again, if you haven't already checked it out, scan the QR code there or go to fantasyalarm.com/underdog. Use promo code ALARM when you sign up. You'll get that deposit match up to $100 there. So definitely got to get in on. And I'll say this has been one of these slower drafts that I've been a part of so far here today. Just did one a little while ago that was done in 4 minutes. Here we are now 8 minutes into today's show, and we're only in round 5. So we'll start to see if the pace gets picked up at all here. Top ADP plays right now on the board: Jaden Ivey, D'Anthony Melton, Colin Sexton are your top 3. Austin Reeves. There goes the Anthony Melton. We know Melton's had pretty high fantasy point per minute output there since Joel Embiid has been out of the lineup. So a decent little upside play there in round 5 at pick 26. Kind of looking down the board, I may take a look at Jakob Poeltl. As I mentioned, I do want to get some of these Raptors exposure. There's Dennis Schroeder and there's Jakob Poeltl coming up. Again, no pressure to Chua. So Poeltl could be in for a big rotation here tonight against the Detroit Pistons. There he goes. That's a great play, I think, in my opinion, by JT McKenzie in the 3rd pick of the 5th round. Knowing that there was no Precious Achiuwa behind Poeltl, maybe have been for a lot of minutes. May take a look at Dennis Schroeder coming up next. If not, maybe on the swing pick around. Again, they traded Malachi Flynn. They may have to move Dennis Schroeder into the starting lineup. Going to get Gary Trent has already been in the starting lineup here today. Shooter could be in for some big minutes here against Detroit, which isn't necessarily a terrible thing here. All right, I'm on the clock. Let's see, where are we going to go? We already have Cade Cunningham. Jaden Ivey's been playing pretty well. It's been a pretty good two-man game for those guys since they've been in a lineup together. I might be able to squeeze Schroeder on the comeback. So let's go Ivey here and see if we can get Dennis Schroeder in round 6 and get that kind of Raptors exposure that we've been looking for here. On the swing pick here. Hartenstein went. That's not bad either. You know, he's kind of had some minutes go down on him a little bit lately, but, you know, they have Achua coming. So, you know, his time, maybe even as a starting center, is on its way down. I would imagine Achua could become the new starting center for the Knicks once he eventually finds his way onto that roster. Colin Sexton goes last pick in the 5th round. Podzinski goes first pick in the 6th. And, yeah, let's go get Dennis Schroeder here. He'll round out my lineup again. Could be forced back into that starting lineup. Could be forced into some heavy minutes tonight. They're going to be on a shortened rotation with 3 guys now out of their lineup here today. So again, everybody, though, it's a look at our draft. Andre Drummond, Cade Cunningham, Lauri Markkanen. We're taking a shot where Karl Anthony Towns is currently listed as questionable after missing the last couple of games there. Again, if he gets ruled out, we can have a replacement player fill in for him. Jaden Ivey and Dennis Schroeder rounding out my lineup here. And again, everybody, these drafts are done quickly. You can find them over at Underdog Fantasy. This draft in particular was just a $5 draft. If you go and click on the NBA lobby, it's called the Saturday Slam. This is a $6,000 first place prize here. So you got to go check it out over on Underdog Fantasy. Scan that QR code. Go to fantasy.com/underdog. Promo code ALARM will get you a 100% deposit match up to $100. Good luck, everybody, in your Underdog Fantasy NBA drafts today. We'll be back, obviously, kind of try to continue to do these throughout the week, but get in our Discord. Have some fun with us over on Underdog Fantasy.